Thank you. Mrs. Fern, any announcements?
Yep, sorry. Okay. Well, yeah, I know. Welcome back. We're excited to start the new school year along with all of our peers and classmates. Parents, please visit Back to School page on the website to download your back to school signs.
Thank you very much. Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes, I wanted to actually take this opportunity to advise the board and the public at large, and we can address this as the solicitor's report, with regard to the status of negotiations. As you may recall, there were discussions back in June about the parties meeting over the summer in the hopes of coming to resolution before the start of the 2017-18 school year. It's with good news to report that the parties have made substantive progress over the course of the summer. And at this point, there are terms that the parties have shared amongst each other and that are going to be brought back to the respective parties for consideration, with the hopes of potentially bringing resolution to this very shortly. That's the status of it at this point, and certainly should things change, that will be brought forward at future meetings, but it's a good news report at this point.
Thank you very much. All right, I lost my place here. All right, there is public to be heard on agenda items. Okay, there's an action item. Is there a motion for A? Is there a second? Second. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I don't think this is necessary. For one, we have a person who's responsible for communications, and I think she does a very good job. And we had actually replaced Communication Solutions with that role. So I think that she's quite qualified. And actually, I think the work that she does is much better than I've seen. We saw when we had Communications Solutions Group as doing our communications. So I don't see why we would want to spend the money when we have somebody that's very competent and qualified to do this work.
Dr. Gooden?
The way we looked at this is this would only be an as-needed basis. So in other words, if we were to need to have strategic communications, we would deploy their services. But if they're not needed, then there's no reason to use them.
Anyone else?
Who decides if it's deemed necessary, Dave?
Yeah, I would make that determination based upon various factors.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Board reports. So Taylor, is that your report? You got another report? You got, okay, sorry.
Hi, school is starting in just 7 days, and that means making sure all the summer assignments are done and ready to be handed in on August 28th. And I would like to remind the community that the first day verification forms are available on the new Springford Area School District website, along with important dates and FAQs for new and returning parents. Speaking of back to school, all the schedules are posted in Skyward and can be viewed only if the first day verification forms are submitted by the parents. Furthermore, school will be closed from September 1st to September 4th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Assistant Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Cerisi. Everyone, welcome back. I just want to give a quick thank you to our 12-month support staff, technology department, maintenance, custodial staff who have done an outstanding job getting our schools ready for the start of the school year and for our students and teachers to return. There is a tremendous amount of work that takes place during the summer, and our staff did a fantastic job in getting the summer projects complete and ready for the start of the new year. Also, as has been shared a couple times, a quick reminder that next Monday is our first day of school for students. In addition, as we know, the start of school also brings a transition to a new grade school and the need to learn about what to look forward to in the school year. So with less than a week before school starts, just a reminder that each of our kindergarten through fourth grade elementary schools have set aside time this week for parents and students to meet the teacher before the first day of school. The Meet the Teacher is scheduled for this Wednesday, beginning at 2:30. So all are welcome to stop out at the school and walk through. Finally, we're also looking forward to welcoming our entire faculty and staff back tomorrow as we hold our annual convocation. Quick immunization update. I know everyone's been waiting all summer to find out about immunizations, but it has been an ongoing conversation all summer long. So as everyone's aware of the changes, many of our school nurses continue to work through the summer and contact parents about the necessary requirements and paperwork to be in compliance. Also, in partnership with Detweiler Family Practice, we are hosting a vaccination clinic next Monday here at the high school. The information is available on the website. At this time, the numbers I have are from last Wednesday. We still have a number of students who are still not in compliance or the paperwork hasn't been straightened out. But our goal over the next 2 weeks is to have 0 students excluded. We want everyone in compliance, and we're going to continue to do that. And our nurses and teachers and administrators are dedicated to doing that as best we can. So we're not looking to exclude. We're looking to work to get this accomplished and make that a smooth transition to the start of this change for this school year.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? All right, moving in the agenda, under minutes A to D. Any questions? Personnel, we have A to I. Questions, comments? Finance, A through H.
I have a question on E5, where it has the, says TCHS. I think that's the vocational school in Chester County.
That's
Do they
correct.
offer something that ours does not offer?
That's correct.
Okay.
Anyone else? Property, A through D. Program curriculum, just A. Conferences and workshops, A through G.
I have a comment on A. We often send somebody to these conferences, but I don't really see much value in the school district of sending people. We spend money. We don't really get any real feedback other than a few words at a board meeting. So I just don't see why we continually send people, and there's not a big benefit as far as would benefit the district or benefit to the board of having people go to these conferences, other than we spend money.
Well, a lot of the things that are learned at these are implemented during the committee meetings and other programs, which you might not be privy to.
Can you give me some examples?
Well, I'll give you an example of one thing that comes to my mind that we might want to consider. One of our local school districts presented a program where they said that they would do away with all the committee reports at the board meetings and a way of expediting the board meetings and just have them presented online, which I think is not a bad idea. I think the other thing is they emphasize the fact that the meetings should be more focused on a particular agenda rather than just being a freewheeling meeting as we tend to have, and so that they can make sure that the goals that they are looking to achieve are concentrated on rather than just having some of the back and forth that goes on in our meetings. So I think that there are a lot of items that I could bring to your attention. I'd be happy to discuss them, but I could spend a whole hour here talking about the things that I've learned at the meetings, but I'm not sure that this is the appropriate venue for presenting that information, but I'd be happy to discuss those things with you.
Dr. Gooden, when we send a staff member to these conferences, what do you receive or their committee supervisor receive?
What they do is they send back a report of generally the things that the different activities they attended and what benefit they feel they brought back from it.
So I would ask, because I understand where Mr. Dennett's coming from, where this would be perceived as just sending someone away, that if any board member is to attend a conference of any sort, there's a report that's given back to the board. I know years ago I attended the school board conference in San Diego and came back with a bunch of ideas, but there are boards that the whole board attends these conferences. But, if you're not hearing or seeing what's going on at those, then it is a waste of money and time. So I'd ask from here on out, as far as an administrative, can't really say directive, but as a board, if we could all decide that if you are going to attend a conference, a workshop that the district's paying for, you are due to give back a report to the board within the next meeting or two to say the highlights of what went on, and then bring back whatever material, share it, but let's make sure that you even make it onto the agenda too.
Yeah, I really think that for this meeting, there should be more than one person from this board attending this meeting. There are so many meetings during this conference, it's impossible for one person to take advantage of all the information that's being disseminated at these things. And if you go to these meetings, you see that all these other school boards have multiple members attending. And we're like people from the farm areas who send one person. And, you know, it's time for us to measure up to the kind of school district that we are. We really need to get more involved in the PSBA and all the things that it has to offer. And I think that to take away the one person from this meeting, I think it's going in the wrong direction. We should be sending 2 or 3 people. This is not a huge amount of money we're talking about here. And if you would like to have a written report, that's so much the better. I'd be happy.
Written or a presentation at a board meeting, whatever works, so the board gets something back.
Well,
Or the
that's
committee
fine.
meeting.
Yeah.
Just put it out there what went on, but I think there has to be a report. Kelly, you attended this last year or 2 years ago, wasn't it?
It was two years ago, I
Yeah.
think, I went. And in my opinion, it was a mixed bag. It was a lot of information. We were one of the districts that didn't have multiple people attend. So I could see the benefit of having more people attend. And at the same time, I'm not sure how much of it that I brought back was something of value that made a difference in the district.
We also presented last year, right? Was that the one you presented at?
Myself, Mr. Fink, and Dr. Good presented last year.
Right.
Yes, it was, that was very well received, I think, that meeting that I attended. So I think we need to go in the other direction on this and not turn away from it. I think if we did not have anybody attending, that would be the wrong direction to go.
I
mean,
agree.
we're not talking about very much money here. And yeah, I mean, in the end, the fact of the matter is you can't go to this meeting without spending your own money. I mean, this costs me money to go to these things. This does not cover all the expenses that one has to attend these things, so.
I think the value is just to make sure that when we get the information, there's a lot of networking with other school districts. There's a lot of informational seminars, one-on-one discussions, small group breakouts, things like that, that we take that information back here and task the district with trying to either partner with those districts or implement some of the ideas that we've seen there, and that's the value of it. Yeah.
I definitely agree with exactly what Kelly said, that, you know, bringing something back is where the value is added. I can certainly see where the question comes into play, but again, even having gone to national conference as well, we are one of the only districts. I was one of the only people there that was a single from a district. So this is something, especially when you're talking about in your own backyard in Hershey. Unfortunately, I'm not able to go that time frame, but it is something that, yes, it would be nice if more of our board members would be able to attend, but because you're right, with all that goes on in those kinds of conferences, there's no way you can absorb or attend everything to get the most value added.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple meetings going on during every hour of the day, and it's impossible to get the full benefit of it with just one person trying to.
Can we ask the administration to see if there's other board members that might be available or willing to attend? And I think it would be very much worthwhile, not just for the information they bring back, but also the networking with the other districts, where it opens up avenues. So if anyone else, I think the administration, I would ask if they would consider putting it out for some other board member or board members to attend with Mr. Dressler.
Well, we put it out right now. If anybody else wants to attend, let Dr. Gooden know if you want to do it. Also, Dr. Gooden, put out the national
I may
conference
go,
info
but
too.
I'll have the IU pay for it. I won't break the budget here.
Thank you. Maybe we send Dawn from
I mean, seriously,
Weston
it's
Center.
$1,000.
Yeah.
This conversation is like, Mr. Dressler, he's very involved at PSBA. I think it's an excellent opportunity for us, Springford, to be represented at Hershey. Let's move on. Let's go.
Other business, A through C.
I have a question. Just on A and B, so the students that are coming through these programs, they're housed with families in the district?
That's correct.
Okay. Is this a new program?
No, we've accepted foreign exchange students for a number of years,
Okay.
many years.
And is this, have we had them from Brazil and China before? I know we did Limerick, right? The Limerick to Limerick,
This is a whole year.
it's different, but so is this our first,
You know, I can't recall, but
Okay.
we've had
One
other
last year.
students.
We've had other students last year.
Yeah, we've had other
every year.
students, but it's, they have a host family that they stay within the district, and we enroll them for the year.
for the whole year? I didn't know we did that.
Yeah.
We had a French exchange student come, but they only spent a summer. So I would have heard it at the PSBA conference. Thank you.
Informational items, usually in April.
Yeah, I want to, in the informational item concerning the Spring City, again, thank you very much to the Home and School Associations. What they bring to the district is just invaluable, and this is just another small example from all the Home and School Associations. So I want to express my own deep appreciation for them.
Board comments?
I have two comments. One, we've had a year now, the fifth special. I'd like to see a presentation on what we're doing, what we learn, where it's going with the this STEM-oriented special from the elementary schools that we added last year. So I'd like to see, what we learned, where we're going, what the plans are, what the successes are of that.
That was going to be a discussion at our June meeting. Mrs. Bass, if I'm not correct, we had planned to do something in the early part of the school year for RamQuest, correct? Okay.
Good. And the second thing, I was looking at the numbers for the elementary schools, and I noticed Royersford has two class sizes that are relatively large, particularly compared to everybody else. One's kindergarten at 24, and one's third grade at 24, and Spring City has one at 24. And those are the schools that have the most at-risk kids. And I think it's important that those class sizes in particular are smaller, because if we don't, if we have the larger class sizes for those schools, those three grades, can lead to more special ed costs later, and it puts kids behind, particularly in kindergarten, they'll never catch up. So I think we should really look at how we can reduce those class sizes, but by maybe asking some of those kids they want to go to some of the other elementary schools that have lower numbers, because I think it's really important that those, particularly those schools, have smaller class sizes, not the biggest.
If you recall, Royersford and Spring City are two hybrid buildings that we have. We've capped those classes at 24 because it breaks down nicely into 3 groups of 8 as the students rotate through their stations in those programs. So we've been very conscious about making sure that those classes do not exceed the 24. At Spring City, it's a little bit more problematic because we only have 1 class per grade for first, second, third, and fourth grade. So it kind of is what it is. And so when those classes start, when those numbers start creeping upwards, we do move those students and send them to other schools. But we always try to make sure that that we keep those class sizes at the max, to not exceed the max of 24. We try to, because they do break up into groups of 8, 3 groups of 8 in those buildings because of the hybrid. So, but having said that, across the district, though, we try to maintain much lower class size averages across the board.
So you're saying if we had hybrid in the other elementary schools, we could increase the class sizes there too? Because that would be the logic.
I think there was a misinterpretation there. It's capped at 24. We don't try to get it to 24. That's just where the line goes, as opposed to
correct.
going to
That's our cap.
25 inside the guidelines. So it just happens to be that those numbers that you're saying there, those classes are monitored, as they all are, all summer long. And there have been times where we had to add classes as early as recent as this past week. We've just added a section to adjust to some numbers. So the ones you're picking out, I don't believe those were adjusted, but in other areas, they have been adjusted. Those have been monitored, and we watch and continue to work with Merry Christmas as students are coming in to register. It's an ongoing process, in and out.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that the schools that have the most Title I kids are the ones with the biggest class sizes, and I think that's not a good idea.
Mr. Dennert, since you mentioned it, because they are Title I schools, there are additional supports in the building that don't appear in the other elementary schools.
Anyone else? Colleen?
I would like to say one of the things that's been on my mind this summer is to possibly for the board to revisit the goals that we set as a board. I think it was last fall that we really spent some time sitting down and hashing out and pulling together a lot of thoughts from a lot of different sources. And not sure, I don't really feel that we did a lot with them work-wise last year. So as the year progressed, there were just other things that took precedence, but I would like to see us revisit those as we start the new school year, to have those in mind, those goals in mind, and to have objectives to be able to reach some of those goals.
Anyone else? Public to be, oh, Ed, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, the goals are on the website, aren't they?
No, she's referring to something different. She's
Oh.
referring to a retreat that we had in which the board was trying to sketch out some directional goals that we had presented.
I think it'd be important, though, for us to review the superintendent's goals, too, to
Yeah, those goals were in reference to a vision for the district as a whole,
Yeah.
as opposed to what you were about to mention, the ones that are that are published on the website are directed to the
Yeah,
performance.
I think we all have an obligation to review those also and make comments at this stage of the game, because this is the goals for the coming year, and this would be appropriate to review them and adjust them if we find that they're not appropriate.
When is the strategic plan up?
The new strategic plan is due November of 2018.
So we'll start working on it sooner than like January?
The special ed plan, the induction plan, and the technology plan. Those are the three areas that we work on.
Okay. I think that to what you've all brought up is that we need to take time and just maybe make one of the meeting nights where we look at goals. Just a general goal instead of whatever meeting that may have been. Maybe there's one of the meetings that we don't need committee-wise that we can put aside. So wanted the administration look at that and let us know which one we can work around. Anything else from the board? Public to be heard?
Good evening. Clint Jackson, Upper Providence. As we embark upon next week, it's the first day of school, and I'm just curious to know where we are with the contract with the teachers.
You missed it.
I'm sorry. Can you just enlighten me?
A lot of progress was made over the summer.
Okay.
And at this point, if everything goes right, there's an anticipation that possible resolution could be coming at or before the start of the school year. There's still some movement that needs to occur and some hoops procedurally that needs to be addressed, but it wasn't where it was in June, let's just say.
So I don't have to worry about seeing my kids after the 28th.
Right.
I love them, but I want them to be in school.
At this point, you should be in good shape for that.
All right.
School will be open on August 28th.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.